Yes, good evening, people. Good evening. Well, good evening to most. It may be the afternoon for some, and it might be the morning for others on the other side of the world. But we're back. It's the Armoury TV. It's Cannons. It's myself, Gumsa. It's a random episode of the Loose Cannons, but we thought we were going to throw it in on a Sunday evening. So let's get into it. Yes. We're back. It's the Armory TV. It's Loose Cannons. It's the ghost they call Gumsa. It's been a long time since I've been on this platform. I've missed you guys. I've missed the rest of the crew, but big up everybody. Bobby, James, Silver Fox Cannons. You lot have been repping, holding it down. The numbers are going crazy. And I want a piece of the action. So I'm back on a Sunday night. I've got my guy Cannons with me. How you keeping?
I'm good, man. Good, as you say, man. It's just listen, man. It's life, man. We're all busy, so it's good to see you back on the big screen, man, with that beaming smile, man. So it's all good, man. It's all love.
We're here. And yeah, just I've been wanting to stream for the last few weeks and there's all this breaking news every minute. I'm just like, I wish I could jump on. I've been in a comment section joining in, but it's not the same as being able to talk about it. So I wanted to kind of we're not halfway through the window yet, but I think from the end of the season till now, we're probably at the halfway stage. I get the transfer window only opened up a few days ago. However, obviously you can strike agreements with teams, you can sign on the dotted line, but your player just don't be registered until the 1st of July.
Mm.
So, do you know what I mean? It's been a good month and a bit since the season ended, maybe 2 months now. Um, so I wanted to kind of just kick off with saying a little review on how we've been getting on. It's been a surprising window, must I say. I haven't seen this since from Arsenal, I don't think, since I've been a fan. Um, I've never seen us just go like this. First couple of weeks, and we've just gone heavy,
Yeah.
not waiting around. Yeah, what's your thoughts on how we've been acting this window?
Uh, we're acting like a big club, like a
Mm,
big club is supposed to act. Really, see where we went wrong in the season before, and address it. And we are doing that. Also, as well, there was deficiencies in some of the players, and I think improvements to be made, and I think we're doing that. I in terms of not just buying, actually now looking to sell certain players. Um, that's going to be very interesting. Who at the end of the transfer window, who actually does leave the club, but ultimately, I think at the moment, um, I'm giving it a B plus.
mm,
In terms of the rating of the transfer market, we're looking to get things done early.
mm.
We've got pre-season just around the corner, and obviously the team soon enough, I think they go to the States or they play Nuremberg first. So yeah, listen, it's going to be as soon as all the pre-season starts again and everything, it's going to feel like we've not even stopped playing football, and it'll all be a case of it's like how quickly the new signings can gel in and
Mm.
run with it. But I've got a really strong feeling that a couple of big players are going to come still to our club.
Yeah, I don't think this is the end of it. I really don't. Because again, I think a lot of what the issue was, there was, I wouldn't say a lack of quality with our first 11. You can see we
Yeah,
went toe to toe with most teams. However, you can still always improve. So I'm not going to say that 11 was the finished
yeah,
article in no sense of the word, but there was an issue with depth.
that's the thing.
What they've addressed straight away is depth, but I'm presuming it is going to be player sales. So again, he seems to be really hitting the midfield with Declan Rice and Havertz,
Yeah,
potentially playing in midfield Havertz, we think. But then if talk of Partey and Xhaka leaving, it doesn't really change anything. It may be an upgrade on the quality of the player, but
the
injury or
depth.
suspension, the
Yeah,
depth is still weak. So I definitely think it's again, if the two stay, which we named Xhaka and Partey, maybe we don't see much more in the midfield. But if one of them two does go, I do still do think we may see an addition. There's been a lot of talk, obviously, amongst Arsenal fans of Smith Rowe moving in centrally to play in midfield. which would give a second person to play in that number 8 kind of role.
Yeah.
You never know. Again, Fabio Ferreira had a kind of an indifferent season. Obviously, El Nene should be back maybe pretty soon. So there is players around. It sounds like Jorginho is staying. But I'm with you. I do think we're going to be going for more players, not just stopping on Rice and Timber. But as you said, even if we did stop there, B plus is not a bad rating.
It's not about. Yeah, I think there is certain areas and what there are dealing with, and I think a huge part of that B plus is Declan Rice. So for me, that's huge.
Yeah. Well, what's your thoughts on Havertz? Because again, I don't know. You may have touched on it before. I've got my views. So I want to hear yours first. Just a quick 2 minutes on Havertz, and I'll give you mine, and then we move on.
I'm happy with the signing. I actually do think he was misused at Chelsea. There is a player in there, absolutely 100%. He's not picked for Germany for no reason. He's always seems to be in and around the squad, or in the first 11. I do believe if given the right players around him and the right role within the team, he will be a huge asset to any team. I think a lot of hate going on at the moment within the Twitter sphere and also WhatsApp groups about A, how much he's getting paid, and B, he's not all that, etc., etc. But secretly, I've always kind of thought that he was quite a decent player on the ball. My only concern with him is his appetite to kind of get in for and do the nasty things.
Yeah, do you know? But also, I saw some. Again, everything gets branded around when players are in the media and the spotlight. I saw some of the stats from Havertz about. Obviously, you saw the goals. He was top goal scorer, top chance creator for Chelsea last year. But I think he was top on a few other things like pressing and winning balls, and like things that he shouldn't really be topping. He was topping them, which again, you sometimes might not see it in a certain team because again, can't say I studied Chelsea that well much last season to understand how they pressed or what he was like. And again, we saw it with Jorginho where everyone was saying, "Oh, he's slow, he can't get around the pitch," but he intercepts a lot because
He's
his
not
brain
been
is
exposed
fantastic.
to that at the moment, has he?
So again, some of these players work on different things in order to be able to survive in these. Not everyone could be an athlete where they can charge around the pitch and win things. Some people have to use their brain a bit more. So yeah, I'm gonna. As I said, I was talking earlier, and someone said about Havertz is on 300 and something thousand a week. And again, I haven't looked too much into it, but my reply back to him was, if he does what Sancho's done, then I have an issue. But if he does what someone like De Bruyne has been doing, I've got no issue with what we've paid for him. And
Exactly.
my thing is, it's not a rush signing, it's not a panic
No.
signing, and this is where it fills me with a bit of confidence because I'm not saying Arteta's got everything right. There's a few players Arteta's brought in and Edu brought in who there's still question marks over. However, we was linked with Madison last year. Madison just went for 40 million, 45 million, and he's an Arsenal fan. So if we wanted someone different, there's time to find that number 8. There's a reason why Arteta's targeted Havertz so early in the window. He didn't even look to try and get Madison, which would be a cheaper option.
Yeah.
He went straight for this one. Madison is the obvious thing because he just got relegated. He's going to be cheap. Like when we've been looking at him before, say that's a no-brainer signing. So I'm sitting there thinking, why is it he didn't go across there to grab him? Why is it he's gone heavy for Havertz? He's obviously seen something. He obviously, do you know what I mean? Him and Edu, and again, they've got a lot of things right. So for me, for you to put that 65 million down on Havertz when Madison was cheaper, for you to give him them wages, if it is true he's on 300, but again, I believe it's probably like Saka where maybe 200,000 a week and then add on to the
There's
bonuses, get
all
you up
kind
to
of
300.
yeah.
But for me, for him to target Havertz the way he did and get that done so early in the window, there's got to be something Arteta's seeing that other people aren't seeing, and when he's done this previously, he hasn't got it wrong.
I'm with you on this, and I just don't think this was like a knee-jerk reaction signing.
No,
I
not
actually
at all. If this was
believe
deadline day, I'd be saying he panicked and grabbed someone.
right.
But he's got him at
This
the
is
start of the
something
window.
that has been known and it's been earmarked. It's a case they've cased Chelsea out in a sense that they knew Arsenal knew Chelsea have to balance the books. There will be a fire sale at Chelsea. And actually, do you know what? If there's a chance to get someone like Havertz in and do it, let's do it.
Yeah.
And I think, listen, obviously, you know, a lot of players say what they say in their videos when they're joining the club, but the thing I get, and I've been saying it on so many streams with Bobby, etc. We're the place to be at the moment. Players want to play for us. The fact that we're linked to someone like Tchouaméni, that's ridiculous. Even now, we're having like we're seeing, as ridiculous as they are, but I've heard some actual
Mbappe.
yeah, but I've heard some solid. I've heard some solid news about that and how it can be done. And if you even did the math yourselves, it can be done. You're talking about, I mean, like you're talking about his wages. His wages, what he's getting nearly £1 million a week or something like that. He's a £200 million player or £150 million player. You spread that over 3 years or 4 years, £1 million a week. That's what you're paying, right?
3 years, 150 mil, 156 mil, isn't it? So yeah, 52 weeks in a year. So yeah, if you pay the transfer fee, that is what you'd be paying for him.
Exactly. So if we do as well, or obviously better, you know, than we did last year, there's every chance this time next year we might be sitting there talking about someone like him wearing the red and white. But listen, we've got there's a lot of work that's got to be done between now and then. We're addressing things, as I said before. I think we do need one more forward and probably one more central midfielder to come in, because I do believe Xhaka and or Partey will be leaving.
Let's get a couple more thoughts on the other two players that it looks like is a done deal. Let's start with Rice. Obviously, everyone's raving about it. How are you feeling about that one? Even more than the ability, the statement that one sends out to opposition fans and teams. What's your thoughts on this signing?
Do you know what? I'm unsure that we actually really realize what we've got here. I don't know if people.
James will tell us different. James has done his due diligence, any.
Because over this last weekend, not to say that I wasn't excited about Declan Rice, but even more so now, I've been picking the pieces out of him and looking at certain games, watching certain games. I watched, you know, the England-France game, all that kind of stuff, and watched actually Tchouaméni and Rice go at it and everything. It was a brilliant game, but you watch it and you just think to yourself, if you could have one of those players or by some kind of freak, two of those players in your team, flipping heck, they're proper big players. But Declan Rice, the fact that we've got him, his surgeons run from midfield, what he can do. The only little kind of caveat I have with Declan Rice is that on the ball, when receiving from Ramsdale, I'm not sure if he can do it as well as Thomas Partey when Thomas Partey is playing, you know, on top of his game. Because when Thomas Partey gets the ball off Ramsdale, when he's on top of his game, for me, he's one of the best players who does that going. But everything else that Rice does is brilliant. He's tenacious in the tackle. Aerial prowess is brilliant. His surge and runs, you know, especially, he's so comfortable, you know, in the opposition's last third. He can do things what are different. His switch of play is brilliant. I just think it's going to be such a huge bonus for us, and might be that signing that is the equivalent to what Van Dijk was at Liverpool. You know, that's the kind of player that we got here, and also as well what Sol Campbell was to us when he came. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't think we really realize what a big player we have here, and we're actually lucky that they've actually got this one over the line. And the fact is, there was only really one team in it.
Yeah, I agree. I think it sounded like Arsenal had done their work from January.
Mm.
Again, it came out at the end of the transfer window that we're going for Declan Rice in the summer. Like, and that was a really like
Can we
we
get
really.
him? We can't
And
get him.
I'm looking at the thing and I'm thinking, right, he's got 1 year left on his contract. Okay, maybe we can get this done. Then when I heard he had a West Ham can extend it by a year, I think that changes everything. Do you know what I
Mm.
mean? Like that means they can put the value back up where they want it. Will Arsenal be that aggressive to go and get this done? Again, I'm looking at Liverpool knowing they need midfielders. Wasn't really expecting City as much to be the ones that actually came in, but I was definitely thinking Liverpool. Um, but again, maybe us having Champions League kind of ruled them out straight away because we've seen they've gone in for
I think
midfielders. But
Rodri basically was the reason that they don't need Declan Rice,
mm,
because at the
yeah,
moment the season that Rodri's had has been
he's unbelievable.
phenomenal.
However, I do know Pep, and part of the strength of City is that squad balance, that squad depth. And again, Rice could easily sit in the John Stones role and play centre back and move into midfield when they've got possession. So I thought that's what I was looking thinking. There is two roles for him to play in that City team where they can say, look, you'll get enough minutes because you're not
Mm.
only going to play Rodri's role, you can also do the Stones role because he can play centre back. So um, yeah, that's what had me a bit worried. And again, if City do come knocking, it's hard to turn it down. You're talking about Pep, who's arguably the greatest manager ever. Um,
But
one of the
you got to temper that with the fact that he's publicly stated that he's there for the next 2 years.
mm.
They
But
might,
that's my thing, and we'll get onto this later. We
yeah,
will get onto that 2 year thing later because it's important, and I think it links into nicely what we're going on to after we talk about the incomings. Um, so yeah, Rice, great sign, and again, I think it's a statement. I think more than anything, sometimes you have to make a statement. We've done it a few times. Like Alexis was a statement, but then we
mm,
didn't follow it up. Pepe was a statement. We didn't
yeah,
follow it up. Um, Whereas this time it seems like we're following up because Rice come in, but it wasn't. We're just focusing on Rice. It was
yeah.
Havertz is still maneuvering behind the scenes, and that's going to get done first. And we're still putting bids in for
That one
Timber.
just got pushed to the side almost. Do you know
Yeah,
what I
it's
mean? Whereas
crazy, isn't
in
it?
seasons gone by, that would have been like our
Our top
big
signing,
sign.
and you
Yeah,
think that's only what 10 mil off our record signing at the moment, which is Pepe
yeah,
75 mil. Havertz is only 10 million off that, so it wasn't a cheap signing, but
yeah.
yeah, it's and Timber's not coming in for cheap. But let's get into the young guy. And you're a football manager expert like myself, so I know you've known about Timber for a good few years.
Yeah.
Yeah, we I think we're getting a player here. We really are. Um, and again, when I'm watching what Arsenal have done, Newcastle similarly, Brighton as well, and City now are doing it. Well, they have been. Let's be real. Where you've got fullbacks who could play centre back.
Yep.
Um, it's no surprise to me the four teams who are probably playing the best football in the league have these solid, at least three centre backs playing in a back four,
Yep.
and it gives you that ability to transition. And City done it different. City done it with the centre back stepping in midfield. Newcastle have Trippier who bombs on. Dan Burn then is like a centre back. Is he playing left back? Brighton similar. Um, and obviously we've done it. Zinchenko goes in midfield and Ben White does go up the line, but he can sit in
Yep.
and make it free. Gabriel goes at the left. And again, Kirill is a centre back who can play left back. And Timber, again, a right back who can play centre back. So it ticks the boxes, doesn't it? Of this fluid formation. Does it give Tierney an opportunity to play more now because Tierney can maybe go down the outside and Timber could? Do you know what I mean? I think it just gives
Yeah.
options where before it was always Zinchenko who would do the inverted role, and I think towards the end of the season we saw when it wasn't working, we didn't have another way. But I'm looking at it now thinking if Tierney starts and Timber plays or White plays, we got so much different options now. Of how he can play it because Ben White's equally played in midfield as well, hasn't he?
Sure.
At his time in at Leeds. So Timber, what's your thoughts on him? The versatility he gives us. Yeah, what's your thoughts?
First thought is don't press him. Seriously,
Yeah.
that's what I love about him. He's calm on the ball. Yeah, okay, yeah, he's young, and there has been a couple of times because I've seen some and read some kind of publications from Ajax that sometimes he can and has been known to prone to the odd mistake where he has tried to do that little bit too much from the back.
Mhm.
but the confidence of the lad is admirable in the sense that he can play. He is comfortable on the ball. He does back himself. Yeah, his aerial ability might be a little bit lacking. But what he does make up for is the fact that he's fast over the first, 5-10 yards. And as I said again, in terms of being press resistant, he is just that. I would go as far to say is that whereas Ben White might be the better defender, but this guy's good. He is good at defending. But I'm only saying this because I know I've seen Ben White obviously play a lot more. But on the ball, Timber looks to be that bit, he's that more comfortable on the ball. And
that's mad to hear. Because Ben White's so comfortable, isn't he?
No, yeah, but bruv, seriously, yeah, no, because Ben White, listen, I'm so impressed with him the way he has dealt with him. But this kid, just watch any clip and you see the things that he does. He's like a right winger at centre back or something, do you know what I mean? But the things that he can do, and so quick and so comfortable at it, it just bodes well, man. As I said, he's good at defending. Whether he's as good as White at defending, I don't know. But he's switched on enough, and he's learned obviously from the Ajax academy, because those players are always so comfortable on the ball. He knows, and I'm pretty sure that he's able to be comfortably, suited in order to play out of tight situations. So basically, that's what Arteta is doing. He's building a team that can withstand any type of kind of resistance in terms of some teams that can just set off, whereas and Timber can do something out of the ordinary as well going forward. Or if a team tries to really press us high, we've got enough players in that team, in the back four, in able to kind of be press resistant, because you've got the likes of Saliba. How many times have you seen him drop a shoulder or do a craft? Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I'm saying? Zinchenko as well. And now you got Timber, who's probably on the same ilk as if you watch him as Zinchenko on the ball. He's very, very good.
And yeah, I said I'm echoing what you say. It just makes sense. My biggest surprise is again the speed of what we got it done, and the fact no one else is even bothered. And
that's the thing. It's like when Arsenal. It's like when some Real Madrid go for someone, don't bother.
Yeah, no point. Yeah, and this is what the main kind of topic of today's conversation is. The job Arteta and Edu have done in making Arsenal attractive. Again, teams have made top four. Tottenham have been in it for how many years, in and out. Man United in and out of it. Liverpool dropped out this year, and they're still attracting good players. But it seems to be something what Arteta and Edu are building at the moment. It's nothing I've seen in a long time, and it's refreshing to see. I think back to Van Persie. I think back to Nasri, to Fabregas. I think Fabregas may be a little bit different because he went back to Barcelona. So there was that pool of that. But I look back to all these guys. I think of the failings of Van Persie when he openly spoke about he went into the chairman's office or the manager's office, whichever one he went. I can't remember. I think it was Wenger's office, and asked what we doing next season, who we bringing in. And when he heard what we're looking at, he just thought this team's not serious. And again, if you're scoring 30 goals a season, again, it's Harry Kane situation right now, isn't it? It's why am I staying here when you guys aren't really serious about doing anything? And I look back now and I'm thinking, this board's serious. Like getting Saka and Saliba. Saliba's meant to be, I think they're saying today or tomorrow, Monday, Tuesday, he'll be signed on. How important is it for new players coming in? So again, you're looking at Timber and he's looking at Saliba, who's ranked one of the best young centre backs in the world at the moment. There's going to be teams after him. He's going into 1 year left. He signs a new deal. Bukayo Saka, he's another one. He signs a new deal. I think he's been valued maybe third or fourth highest valued player in the world at the moment, Saka. I think it's Haaland, Mbappe, Vinicius in front of him. And I think he's top five highest valued. I'm not saying he is the fifth best player in the world, but they've obviously taken into account his age, his experience. He's being talked up with Vinicius, with Haaland, with Mbappe. We've just signed him again for, do you know what I mean, many years. And along in the days where we were losing our best players, every year there's links coming out because you look at Alexis, he's got 3 years left. Ozil, he's got then they've got 2 years. Them as players are saying we're going to hold on because we're going to get big money if we leave on a free. They've got 1 year left. Now we have to panic and take a bum deal. Iwobi's
There
our
were
highest
so
transfer.
many situations like that where we was like, oh my god, are they going to sign? Not going to sign?
Yeah,
Yeah, from your Van Persies to Alexis to even Theo Walcott. I
yeah.
remember, when everyone was
The
saying,
sign the
sign the
ting
team,
song.
sign the
I, I
team.
I always go back to how badly we were run because I love Iwobi. Everyone knows I love Iwobi. He's our highest record fee we've ever received. Arshavin is still in the top 5, and I think of all the players that have come since Arshavin, Vieira, Henry, Bergkamp was well he's before, but obviously also I know he retired, but world class players Perez, Freddie, coming to Alexis, Ed Petit. Like there's been
Even
so
Ozil,
many.
we just
Ozil. How
cancelled.
can Arshavin still be in the top 5 of
Yeah.
players of the highest transfer fee received since he left? Like it doesn't make sense, and we done business badly. We allowed players. I understand we didn't want to sell our top players. However, we held on to and wasn't doing the right thing in the market, and rightly so. They said, right, we run down our contract and we're off, or we
Yeah.
have to sell for no money at all. Um, we're starting to kind of get it right. I think we're able to sign these players down. Again, we look back at Van Persie, we look at Walcott, Aubameyang recently. We have to throw mad money at them to keep them. Whereas now it looks like these players, and again, I'm talking about the main players at the moment. We were going to get
Yeah.
into the backup players, but the Saliba, Saka's, Martinelli re-signed earlier in the season. There's talk of Odegaard re-signing. Gabriel's had a new contract recently. We'll
Yes.
probably get another one soon. These players we're tying down, um, and the importance of it. If you're a player looking at Arsenal thinking Saka's got 5 more years here, Saliba's got 5 more years, Gabriel's got 4 years. You're not walking into a team, and you're saying about Rice and Guardiola, and I think of Van Persie with Ferguson when he's gone there, he's won a league, and then he hears Fergie's leaving, and he's facing the interview. I don't know if you remember the look on his face in the interview because he'd been hoodwinked. He had a good year with Fergie, but Fergie's
Yeah.
now gone, and he's like, I've come across here, and maybe that's a big factor of Rice. He's looking at the age of this squad. He's looking at Arteta, thinking this guy's going to be here for the long run,
Yeah.
and we're at the start of something very special. How exciting is it to? How attractive is Arsenal right now for
Would
any young player?
I've been talking, on Bobby's shows about the attractiveness of Arsenal right now. That you've got to really take it into account now. Of if the two players leave, i.e., Xhaka and Partey, our average age.
Mm.
I'd love to see what the average age is
Got to
of
be
that first list.
26, I reckon 25. Maybe actually maybe
20,
younger than that. Yeah, because
25, 24.
our oldest
25,
players will probably
24.
be 25, won't they?
I think it will be Ramsdale. No, who's? I'm sure one of them. I think it's Gabriel at 26.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
or
That's crazy.
Jesus 26.
I'm gonna fact
Uh,
check it. Keep talking. Keep talking.
yeah. So you got to think of that now. You think of the oldest player in that team. If those two players leave, if by any miracle we get Chouameni and Rice in, so that midfield then that goes down to about the average age of what, 23, because Chouameni is 22, and Rice is 24.
Gabriel's 25, and yeah, Jesus is 26.
Yeah, so 26. Okay, so your average age of this team will be 24, 25. Now, you're saying really, they say the players don't really peak until they're 28. You realistically, right, got another 5 years at a team
at their prime
that could possibly dominate football for a long time. Shit, man, you got
it sounds nice, isn't it?
And if these guys and they have been growing season after season, they've progressively been getting better. Okay, they're learning it from their mistakes, i.e., from just missing out on the top 4 against Tottenham, and then having the next season will come in second. Let's hope that trajectory is still going, because at the moment the players are growing and learning together, and there's such a bond between it, and you can see it. And the
mm,
reason, and what that then transmits, that transmits to the fans on the terraces,
mm,
because they see that the team is together. No, I just remember so many times back in the Wenger days, the latter Wenger days, where teams used to bully us.
mm,
Where a player would kind of, or a certain number of players from even might be a crap team like Bolton or whatever. Sorry, Bolton, it's rude. I know I shouldn't say crap, but lowly teams like Bolton or whoever would start kind of really kind of like picking on our players, and then no one going up to say or to jump in to help that player. There was a perfect example, I think, when Alexis scored a goal. He went off
no one
to
celebrated.
celebrate. Yeah, he went off to
Yeah.
celebrate, and everybody started running back to the halfway line. They left him to it, and he was just like looking back, thinking, "What the hell? No one's
Hmm.
celebrating with me." Those days are gone now. This team is a family. Havertz said it in his interview. He
Mm,
if you saw it, you heard that he mentioned the family, not just on but also off the pitch as well. And the fact that we're a team that's together, we have a common goal and a common way of playing. Every
mm,
player knows where the next player is going to be, and how to create those triangles,
mm,
to progressively move forward. Everybody knows what they're, with a hint of kind of like, creativity in terms of doing what they feel is right, but in terms of fluidity. But everybody knows exactly what they're supposed to do in that team. They know their role, and this is what, when your likes of Rice come in, and Havertz and Timber, when they come into a well-oiled machine, these players can only get better.
hmm. And you know, I just as you're talking, I'm just looking through some of the player ages.
Mm,
And again, I know we was talking about the starting 11. The average age of that will be very young. Um, we're only going to have two players if the outgoings do go as we expect. So Partey, Holding, and Xhaka are the three that have been touted. We're only going to have Jorginho left, who's 31, and El Nene, who's 30. They're the only two that's above 30, and I can't see them staying in the long term. Um, After that, you've got Trossard, who's 28, and
yeah,
again, his role within the team, he's an important player, but he's not the future of this
no,
11. Do you know what I mean? I could
no,
easily see him being on the bench more than he starts next season again. Um, Again, Jorginho will be, if we get the players in we expect, he will be a bit part and just a bit of support, and obviously his experience will be handy. But after that, I think if you called our main 11, if we think it's going to be what we think, so Ramsdale, Zinchenko, Gabriel, Saliba, Ben White, uh, Havertz, Rice, Odegaard, Saka, Martinelli, Jesus. The oldest player is 26 at Jesus. Um, and this is where, again, we will touch on this, and I will do a big um, stream on this at the end of the window once we know what our squad is. Um, but Edu's job, and not even in football sense, because any team can have a bad season, any team can have a great season. It could be other teams have struggled around
yeah,
you, and like we saw Leicester win the league.
yeah,
But when we spoke about earlier, us not selling players properly, um, Edu's job it's been a mastermind job with Arteta's help, and the board have obviously given Arteta the time to get rid of the old
yeah,
guard, bring in new. But what he's done to make a self-sustaining model, and again, you have to invest to make this possible. But we have assets for the first time in a long time. We have
yeah,
genuine assets. I expect Partey and Xhaka to go for less than what you would want for someone of that quality, but they're 31, so they're going to go for cheaper. Jorginho might walk out on a free next season. El Nene might leave on a free, and who's the other one? Holding might leave. We might get 5 to 10 mil for him. Not a problem.
yeah,
After that, I don't really see Arsenal selling one of these main players for less than 75, 80 million. You might get a fringe player who will go, and we're going to talk about some of the fringe players in a minute. But they still have a job to do in it. And for me, they're clever signings what we've done. But you're talking that make
there's a couple of signings where for me the jury's gonna still be out on Edu, on what he does. Lokonga and
yeah,
Tavares.
yeah. Those
Those
guys
two,
there, them, and again we get into them. But I'm
or
talking about
Eddie,
the
or
extent. But
Balogun as well.
my thing's the extensions. Let's get into it now. Let's get into it now. Let's talk
Yeah,
about the extensions, because I think they're very clever. Um, so I'm looking mainly at Balogun, Reece Nelson, and Eddie Nketiah. Balogun maybe has the highest ceiling out of those guys. What we've seen him do in France, obviously Eddie's been on a few loans. Reece, no, Eddie hasn't really been on many loans. He only went to Leeds. Reece went on a few more loans. He's been across Europe. He's definitely, you can see the improvements, but I think it's clever to give these guys these new contracts. Have we paid more than we probably wanted to? I think all of them are around about 100,000 a week.
Yeah.
However, these guys were about to walk out of the club for free.
Mm.
We make no money on them. So signing Nketiah, and everyone knows I advocate for Nketiah. I think he's done well. If we sold Nketiah this year for 35 mil, I'm not complaining. Not
No.
complaining at all. Reece Nelson may have one more year with us. I don't expect him to take over Saka's position. I feel he's going to be a squad player. If we can get 30 mil for him next season, and if Balogun does go for again 35 mil, you're now talking that's £100 million we've made on three players who are just fringe bit part players. Balogun hasn't even really been in our team, really first team. He's
Yeah.
just been in and amongst, and he
He's
went
the
out on
one
loan.
I think that I think Arteta and co are undecided with. I
It's
think
quite an
I
interest.
think they want to keep him.
Do you,
If they can't, then you don't get less than 40, 45 mil for
yeah,
him.
with Balogun, do you think it's more him who may want out more than Arteta and Eddie want him to leave? Well, someone said it before. Is it because of his mentality? Now, I haven't got an issue with it because for me,
Um,
as much as Eddie's great to have around the squad, he knows his position. He doesn't argue. He gets on with things. It's good to have them players. But equally, you sometimes want players who are going to push and say,
mm,
"Why am I not starting?" Jesus hasn't scored in six. Why am I not playing? You need sometimes because that's going to keep other players on their toes. You don't want to mess up the harmony within the squad, but you need players who are going to push these other first team players. So, what's your thoughts on Balogun? Because he doesn't seem like he's a quiet one who's going to just settle for 15 minutes off the bench and Carabao Cup. He doesn't seem like that player. He wants to play
why should he?
regular.
If he believes in himself and he backs himself and he
Mm,
produces the goods, Arteta's thing is that and I'm pretty sure that he's the type of manager that plays you on merit. There may be there may be a couple in there that no matter what they're starting because of what they bring. However, I think I don't think if Balogun's on some shit hot streak and he's scoring 4 and 4, 5 and 5, you got to play him.
mm,
And I think that's all that I think what Balogun wants is there's like a clear pathway to the
mm,
first team. I think he understands he's not up to the level of Jesus.
mm,
However, he wants to know that he will get minutes.
mm, mm,
And I think you can back yourself to kind of say, do you know what? Let me bide my time. I back myself, but I want minutes. I want a fair crack of the whip because I know I'm not up to Jesus' standard yet, but I can get there if I get minutes. And if I do get the minutes and stuff, and I prove myself to be doing the business, then I want a fair crack of the whip in
mm.
terms of
That's
starting
makes sense.
berths, etc., etc. If he gets those kind of assurances, then I think he would stay.
Mm,
I don't think anyone at this point in time wants to leave Arsenal.
yeah, and again, this is the importance because you look back at some of the players we were linked with in recent years.
Yeah.
There's been Donnell Marlon, who we let go for free. Ishmael Benica, we let go
Yep.
for free. Serge Gnabry, we let go for free. Now, those guys probably wasn't ready to play in Arsenal's first team when they went. But I say again, the importance of signing these guys down gives us the flexibility to sell them.
Yep.
And even if we don't make much money, so just say and I don't expect this from Eddie and Reece the same because they're that bit older. But with Balogun, whoever you sell him to, just say we sell him to West Ham, and we say you can have him. All right, tell you what, we value him at 50. We're giving to you for 35, but we're putting a buyback in for 40 million. If you don't want to buy back, we're going to then go sell him elsewhere for 50. What that gives you is that power to say he's smashing it for 2 years in the Prem. We activate. We see other teams looking at him. He's valued at 70 million now. Actually, let's buy him back for 40, and we can even if he doesn't play for us, we can sell him for the 70. We've seen it with Morata, where he's just been brought back by his parent club just to
Mm.
sell him again because his value's gone up.
Yeah. Yeah.
The importance of signing these guys on just gives you that it's assets, isn't it? No, not saying you've got to look at footballers as assets. They are human beings.
Well,
but it
there
gives
is
yourself
it's a
power.
double-edged sword, isn't it? Or you can use all these analogies and these kind of saying it's the same. It's a different side of the same coin kind of thing.
Mm.
But there is a business side to football.
Yeah, and you think those three guys were up. We thought Eddie was gone last season.
Yeah,
If you remember Balogun, that whole 6 months, it was so many teams were looking at him, and
yeah, of
he wants this amount of money. Again, agents are going to leverage to get the best deal
course.
possible. Reece Nelson's contract's actually out, but it sounds like he's definitely staying. Um, so again, these guys could have walked on a free. We're
Yeah,
now talking that's £100 million worth of assets, which now go if we sold all three next year, that's 100 million towards the Mbappe deal we're talking about. It's so, as I said, I think it's understated and how important Edu's role's been in tying down some of these players who looked like they were going, and Arteta as well for letting them still believe they have a role to play. Because to me, Reece didn't play enough minutes last year to warrant him really signing. I
no,
thought he was gone. I thought he's
yeah.
saying, "Nah, 23, I need
I
to go
think
and
that
play
Bournemouth
football."
goal was the one that done it for him.
Mm, So I feel the board, as much as the incomings have been brilliant, I think the players we've retained has been also very important. And Arteta's got a ruthlessness about him where, yeah, I've
Yeah,
signed you on for a new contract, but I've brought in this player. Unfortunately, you might have to go next season, and do you know what I mean? But it's that ruthlessness we need to be self-sustaining because that's what this model's meant to be. We're meant to be a self-sustaining model.
this is
We
the
need to,
season before that kicks in for us.
yeah,
That's why we're going all in
yeah.
terms of purchasing certain players.
Yeah, and it
Because
kind of ties in with the age range we're looking at. Again, you
absolutely,
spoke about some of the ones we're not sure on. You're talking Fabio Vieira, Lokonga, Tavares. There's still resale value in them players. Whether we get back I think we get back what we paid. Maybe not on Vieira. He was quite expensive, 40 million, I
yeah,
think.
it's 34.
Um,
Yeah,
we're not probably going to make our money back on him unless he does something. Again, he might go on loan and absolutely smash it somewhere, and
mm.
there's value there. But the difference between that and Willian, Mustafi, those guys, Kolasinac, Socrates,
Socrates. Oh,
we can go on Pablo Mari. Like
David
the difference,
Luiz.
yeah. So
Flipping it.
the difference between that and what we're now trying to sell makes a big difference into what we can do in the market. And I think that part of Edu and Arteta's job is not being spoken about enough. We can all see we have a young first team, but actually what they've done, they've created assets. And the way football's going now, you can all see it. Not like the game's quickening up.
Yeah,
Um, it's about energy and legs. Do you know what I mean? And so, really, honestly, those players and people are buying potential. People aren't buying the finished article now. I think before you would see Luis Figo go for 50 mil at 29, 30 because you know what he's
that's
going to
right.
give you for two
Yeah,
years. Nowadays, it's about buying potential. Hence why Caicedo, who's had one standout year, they're looking at 90 million, 80 million for him. Um, it's the potential with these players. So yeah, we're ahead of the curve at the moment. A bit different than Dortmund as well. Dortmund seem to buy a bit younger, don't they? Whereas we're now buying that middle tier.
yeah. I say
Um,
between 22 and 24
mm,
is what we're
Rather
going
than
for.
whereas Dortmund are more 18 to 20, they kind of
Yeah,
sign in. So yeah, we're buying at a good age. Um, with that in mind, and what we spoke about earlier as well, with Pep Guardiola maybe having 2 years, Fabregas said it after the Champions League final. He looks tired, and he had that look when he was at Barcelona, and then he obviously took the year out of football. Um, I do expect Pep to maybe leave in 2 years. Klopp's obviously doing his rebuild. Let's see how that comes about. Man United will get stronger after the takeover. However, let's say when Pep goes, and that will be a big shock to City. Again, we've seen it with Fergie leaving United, the impact it has. You can have the same players, but without that
yeah,
manager and that mind behind it, it can fall. Wenger, again, towards the end, he was starting to fall off, but even with that team, Wenger was still winning a couple of cups, making top four majority of the time. And we see how we declined after Wenger. So after Pep, there will be a drop off. Do you think Arsenal at the moment are in the best position to capitalize? And this is why I was saying to fans, be patient this year and next year. If we don't win the league in the next 2 years, don't stress because Pep's still here. And what Man City do is we haven't seen it really before. But when Pep leaves, and now we're talking 2 years, we're talking Jesus will be 28 as our oldest
yeah.
player in this 11, 27s. Saka will be about 24. Or Saliba will be 23, 24. Like Are we now in the best? And again, things can happen. Man City could go out and get an Mbappe, or do you know what I mean? There's other players out there Liverpool might grab, but at this moment in time, with 2 years in the future, how well placed are we to really take over from City once Pep goes?
If in the next couple of years, and it's a big if, obviously, we win either the league or the Champions League, it's done.
I
It's
think we can
done.
go on and do what I think we can go on and do what City have done. I really do.
Absolutely. I,
I
I,
think
I
once Pep
really do
goes,
think it's going to be absolutely nuts. You're going to see the top players, and I think the top players want to come now, but
mm,
solidify. Will start talked about in the same breath that was talked all those years ago by Gazidis about having the same kind of pull of Bayern Munich, your Barcelonas, your Real Madrids, and everything. We're going to be up there on that top table again if we win one of those in cups in the next couple of years or so. What we need to do though is actually get over that hurdle. It's going to
mm,
be tough because you do have the freak that is Man City, and the
mm,
only thing is that you can't see. What I will say, this season's going to be one of the toughest
mm,
Premiership seasons for as long as I can remember, because you've really got 7 or 8 teams that can take points off each other.
mm,
Realistically, the only team what you would probably say at this moment in time who will probably, if you put in an accumulate, you'd probably put Man City as a winner or whatever, things like that. But after that, really,
it's
a lot.
anybody's game.
Exactly, and what needs to happen with this league, and I think can happen this season with this league, is that it's not just us who have to take points off Man City.
Mm,
Other teams have to take points off Man City. Do you know what I'm saying?
mm,
Um, and I think that will happen. The likes of Newcastle, what they're doing, even I don't think Tottenham spending's finished. Villa, their
mm.
infrastructure right now.
Alvarez they've signed a hell of a
Listen,
centre back.
and the sporting director that they've got in Monchi. Do you know what I mean?
Mm,
Wherever he's gone, he's been successful.
mm,
Um, and then you obviously got the top four from Man United. When their takeover happens, if that
mm,
happens, when it does or whatever, and how much money they'll get. Liverpool as well, Chelsea as well under
mm,
Pochettino. So you're gonna have you got like 6 or 7 teams. Brighton, who says that they ain't gonna do what they
mm,
did last season, and even Brentford, can that they're that kind of team that can always take points off you, whether it be a draw or even sneak a win. Burnley as well, and look, we'll see how they go, how they
mm,
start, but the way that they play and the way companies got them set up, I think they're suited for the Premiership.
mm,
But it's
mm.
going to be such an interesting season, and the
Yeah.
thing is, we have to hit the ground running, and
Well,
if we do what we should have done this year, next year, mate.
where are you with? I know other fans are really throwing this. You got to win the trophy after doing what you've done.
Nah.
Um,
As
where,
long
but
as
where,
my thing is, as long as we're in the conversation right up to the death, yeah,
mm,
that's what I want. Okay. And then I understand that things can happen. Sometimes then when it gets to right to the last, leg or the last lap or whatever it is, sometimes it could be 1 or 2 moments that
mm,
actually swing it in your way in terms of luck or whatever it is.
mm,
But um as long as we're that club that's in the mix, or we're streets ahead of anyone else, I'll be happy with that.
yeah,
As long as we're not, come April, we're out of it, and we're out of all cups, and you, that for me, that would be disappointing.
yeah. Um, I was having a conversation with someone. Not sure if you saw it in the group chat, but where you might progress. I said we can end up fourth on more points, and I'd be happy. And again, I don't know if I'm seeing bigger picture more than some other fans. Again, when you're seeing big signings come in, 170 million spent on 2 players, and then Timber's coming 200 million. If you sign more, maybe you're looking at 300 million.
Listen,
I'm
other
not
team.
fooled.
This is the
I'm
first time we've ever
We've done
done.
it right. Man United
You
have
know
been
what I'm
consistent,
saying?
and there's a difference between buying. Yes, he costs more, Declan Rice,
Yeah.
to buying Casemiro. There's a big difference. Now, it might not be in terms of quality, but when you're buying Casemiro, you're buying ready-made players to go and win that league that season. When Man United done what they done that year because they came second, they went and got Ronaldo, they went and got Varane. They're two players who you're buying them players to win the league
Yeah.
now. We're buying still, and I do think Arteta's thinking, "Hmm, let's wait till Pep's gone." That's
Yeah.
not saying if we can grab a trophy, we can grab it now, but we're setting ourselves up because if you think about it, when Liverpool
We'll
hit form
position
really
ourselves neatly. You know
now,
those
yeah,
ones
when you
in a
look at
peloton.
Liverpool, when Liverpool when they started challenging, it took them 3 years to get over the line and win the league because they're playing against Pep. Like they went a
Yeah.
whole season and only lost one game and still come second. It's unheard of. 97 points and didn't win the league. It's unheard of.
But
So
that's
I think
what you're up against.
up
That
against us,
machine.
yeah. So again, I'm not mad if next year we come third with more points because I'm still seeing progress. We've got more points. It just means Liverpool came back and done what they were meant to do this year, and City are City. So we could easily sit in third and think them
If
two,
I
but
think if we
them
get the
two, they're
same
teams that
amount
are
of
at
points,
age.
yeah,
Yeah, but they're two teams that are at an age where they're gonna start coming down soon. Or again, it could just be the Pep factor, him leaving. I think we're setting ourselves up to say actually in 2 years' time. So we say 2025 to 2030, I'm gonna say it here, we're gonna win 3 Premier Leagues between 2025 and 2030. And that's what my prediction is. I'm not interested in 23, 24, 24, 25. We're building, we're getting these players ready. They're going to get 2 years experience in the Champions League, 2 years experience in the Premier League of challenging. That's when we're going to hit form. And it's not just banking on Pep leaving, but they're City are going to have to rebuild again. They're kind of doing it now with Gundogan leaving, Bernardo Silva might be leaving. They're going to have to rebuild. Liverpool going through it at the moment. United, we're in a better position than them. We're in a better position. Newcastle got money, but FFP will curtail some of their spending
yeah.
and they have to get it right. We're in a position, and I'm going to predict it from now, from 2025 to 2030. I think we win 3 Premier Leagues, or 2 Premier Leagues, and a big Champions League trophy because I think we're in a position. And Real Madrid are doing similar to what we've done.
Yeah.
You look at that midfield; they know Cruz and Modric are
Modric.
going.
Yeah.
Tuchemeni, Camavinga, Bellingham, Valverde. If they get Mbappe, him, Vinicius, and their backline Militao and them guys, they're quite young. They want Alphonso Davies. They're doing similar to what we're doing at the moment, and it's for the long term. Um, so yeah, I think what this team have done, how they're positioning it, I'm not stressed about the next 2 years. Just make sure you get me top four. But the bigger picture is when that team clicks at 20. Imagine in 3 years' time, Saka's only 24. It's crazy. Think of what this guy's achieved already. Saka,
What?
Martinelli,
Saliba's
Saliba
only
going to be
25.
24, 25. Like, come off it. Do you know what I mean? What we're building is unbelievable. And again, if we do have to
If
sell one
we're
of
if
them
we're
talent,
doing things like winning, you know,
really honestly, if that team, and let's be honest, Candace, no one looks at a 10-year plan because your players are 28, 29. So you can't look at
yeah,
a 5-year
no,
plan or 10-year plan with Partey and
you're
Xhaka
looking
at
at
the moment.
now.
You can actually plan for 10 years with
Yeah,
Saliba, Saka, Martinelli. Even Odegaard will be 33 in 10 years. Like, we're seeing what Gundogan's still doing at 32 or
yeah.
31. Do you know what I mean? So when you think of it long term, again, that's 10 years. Like, think the next 3 to 7, these players we're building, I can't wait to see it. I'm really being honest. I can't wait to see it. Like, again, we're bringing
It's
in Timber.
exciting. It's exciting.
It's mad. As I said, I'm gonna be playing Football Manager and don't even have to sign nobody. I'm just gonna run with these lot. And do you know what I
Oh
mean? I've
my
got three
god,
years of players here. I've just got to add a little couple of youngsters to the mix. But
that's it.
yeah,
Yeah, just for the heck of it.
yeah. So as I said, I feel that the job. Yes, we can all see it's exciting, but for me, it's yeah, I want to challenge this year. But actually, I'm looking and thinking, I see what these guys are doing because there is players out there who are 28, 29. So we was linked with Kimmich a little bit. You
Mm,
could bring him in now. That's an instant. I want to win now. He's got 3 years left in him, maybe at the top, and he's still going to be a good player, but he will start declining.
of course.
We're not look. We're looking at Lavia. He's 19.
Gee,
Lavia's 19. Like so, you 5-year contract, then give him another 5 years in 4 years time. That's 9 years of the guy. At that age, there he's 28. He's still got value. You can still get
he's
50
got
mil
one more big contract to go at 28.
at, and if you do sell him, you can get 8 to 10 years good service out of these players and still make a
Yeah,
profit on some of these players. It's yeah, as I said, what these guys, if Arteta's not the man to lead us and he disappears in a couple of years, how he's left this squad as I said it in the chat the other day when you lot was talking. Edu and Arteta are on the way to getting a statue for what they potentially could
Yeah,
achieve with
what
what
they're
they're
doing
doing.
right now.
They've changed the whole philosophy. They've modernized it. They've brought the culture back, which we need to see. But most importantly, they've given us assets. Now, if you have to sell Martinelli says in 2 years, I want to go to Spain, 120 million.
Yeah,
If Saka wants to go, 150. Saliba, 100 and something. Uh,
that's
That
big
whole 11,
forward.
majority of that 11 is going for above 80 million.
80 mil, yeah.
And
And I think earlier I was wrong actually. I think that the actual peak for footballers when they're 26.
I think this day and age, I would say it's about 26 now.
Yeah. If
Um,
you look at all the big players as well, going back into the best players in the World Cups and
mm,
everything, they've all been around that age when
yeah,
the
and
best
I,
players.
I think
So your
some players,
Maradonas, your R9s, all those
mm,
when they've like hit 26, etc., etc. That's when
uh,
they've kind of like performed
and
at their absolute peak.
I do think it's coming down in age, like you're saying, because I think players are getting opportunities earlier. So
Yeah,
it's mad to think Rooney is only 34. I think no, he's also like 36, 37,
yeah,
and he retired at 34. But he was doing such major stuff at 19. Your body is gonna
yeah.
burn out a bit quicker. So I think before pros used to really kind of break into the first team at 21, 22. You think of Ian Wright when he burst on the scene, he was in his early 20s.
20s,
Not a
yeah.
very, but you see it now. Players now are forcing moves at 17 to go to smaller clubs because I want to play instantly. So it's
Yeah,
so your prime
it,
will hit
it's
probably
it's
a bit earlier.
yeah,
But
it's just crazy, man, just to see. And you're right with the whole kind of analysis there with the players and the team and what we should be doing, in a couple of years from now, because a lot of the players will hit their peaks in
at the
those,
same time,
and that'll be their time, to really start dominating and stuff. And do you know what we've done it for? Yeah, we spent a bit of money, but nowhere near the amounts that Man City have paid
and Chelsea.
or Chelsea or whatever. Do you know what I mean? To try and
Mm,
accomplish that. So, listen, I think there's one thing. Arsenal have always done things with class. They've just been known for that. We're just that club.
mm,
The Arsenal. It's not Arsenal. It's the Arsenal,
so,
and we just have that bit of class about us. Um, we're an institution, man, and the thing is now we've made it a place to be again. And
mm,
as you said, a big, big, big chunk of that has got to go to Edu and Arteta for what they've been doing. Obviously, you sprinkled in your Mertesackers and your backroom staff
yeah,
and the contract negotiators and those people, but you know really the people who are really earning their money at the moment
mm,
are the people that you're hearing about
yeah.
mostly at
I,
this
I,
moment in time.
I have to give a bit of credit to the Cronkies as well because
Yeah, it's
10,
their
10
money.
games without a win, and 10 games without a win, they could have said we've got to pull the trigger on Arteta. So as much as, and again, I think everything for a reason. It was Wenger had gone stale. That's why Arsenal was stale. So we bring in Unai Emery, who was a serial winner, especially in the Europa
Mhm.
League, done very well at all his clubs. So you bring him in with the same players and expect him to get a tune out. Somewhat of a tune, but we failed our missed our targets again. And then it highlighted it wasn't actually the manager who always was the problem. It probably is these players. So it was okay. We need a new path. We easily could have brought
Just
in another stopgap
throw it
because
away.
Rafa was available those times. Ancelotti, I think, was available. He wasn't at. Yeah, he went to Everton in them kind of times, wasn't
Yeah,
he? So there was big managers available, but again, they're instant managers. They're coming in. Mourinho comes in. I want this. This Conte comes in. I want this to
yeah.
go and do this. So again, we will be buying them players who are at the top end of their careers, who might have got us top four a lot earlier than
But
Arteta's got us top
there's
four.
no plan there.
But there
There's
was
no
no
longevity.
longevity. Yeah, it would have just been we'd have got top four. We'd have missed again. We would have got it in the next season. We'd have been
Yeah,
may have nicked the FA Cup, but we wouldn't be in this position now to actually buy into Arteta's philosophy, the program. Again, that's where the be excited came from. Again, maybe we couldn't see it 3 years ago because it looked
couldn't
like
see it.
madness.
I honestly
He's
couldn't see
dropped
it.
Ozil. He's ousted this man from the club. This person, do you know what I mean? But now you see it.
Mm.
The plans kind of worked. We've got rid of a lot of dead wood. We've brought in a new. Again, I just look at the team. There's not much dead wood there in it. Like people will say, Holden and Cedric. Even I heard you
You,
talking about Pepe the other day, and I was like, do you know what? I actually would give him an opportunity
I'm in that same camp as well
because
because
and
we're a different
team and I,
club.
I understand when people say about him not tracking back. I do get that, but you know what? Pepe may have a role, which is 60th minute. We're losing 1-0. We've got 80% of the ball. Now I need quality because we've got the ball. In most games, we've got the ball. So actually, the
Yeah,
tracking back not as important as it has been at previous times because we've got the ball most of the time. And actually, he it has got quality in that final third. He is.
he can
I'll be
deliver
honest.
a ball. He can
His
make
end
things
product probably
happen.
is better than Saka's as such, but I just feel
Yeah,
you just didn't. It Saka in 90 minutes will probably get in a great position 12 to 15 times. Pepe once or twice.
yeah,
Do you know what I mean? And that's the difference with Saka. Saka is just doing it constantly, but Pepe outside the box and opening up, he finishes more than Saka from that position.
yeah.
So actually, I wouldn't be mad because again, if you're talking 15, 20 mil for him, there's no point. You're not buying a better player
Listen,
than him
what
for
I
that
would
money.
say is
So
that make him earn a new contract.
mm, I wouldn't be mad at it. Like when I
Yeah,
heard you speak before, I was like, he's got to go, and I sat there and I thought, actually, if he understands that he's not first choice, you're playing backup. I'm trying to think of what player had it happened to before, where I think it was like Wiltshire, wasn't it? When he went out on loan, you think his time is done, and it's like actually, look,
yeah.
you got a little role to play, but you have to understand your role now.
You have
You're
to
not starting.
understand your place.
You're just, but you could always earn a position. And if you believe in yourself, you'll say, all right, cool, I'll take that for now because I know once I get a taste, you might be saying, actually, Saka, this man's
Exactly.
closer than you think. If you believe in yourself, and this is why I do think maybe Pepe doesn't have the mentality for that, but if you have the right mentality, you might take that 15, 20 minutes here and there to say, and that's what Reece Nelson's done. He's
Yeah.
only getting
No,
fives and
absolutely.
twos,
The,
but
the,
he's
the only my only thing with Reece Nelson is that I want him to succeed so badly, but
yeah,
my only problem with him is that when he starts a game, he doesn't really
doesn't look as great.
he goes missing.
Yeah.
He's more of an impact sub,
Mm,
which is a shame. I want him to actually start a game and take the ball by the horns kind of thing,
mm, mm,
and become that player.
mm.
But I don't think he's at that point yet. But preseason, hopefully, if he has a good preseason, he could be that
Mm.
one. But Pepe's there, man, and I think, listen, as I said before, and I keep saying, we're the club where everybody, if you're a successful footballer, there's no better place right now than you'd rather be. And I reckon, right, if people thought that Pepe had an attitude issue or problem, I think that was probably because he's just disillusioned with everything that went on beforehand.
It
Now
was
he can
bad.
see from the outside, being in France, whatever. Now looking at what we're doing and looking at how we're playing, he's probably think, shit, I want to be part of that.
Yeah, yeah.
I
He's
hate
probably
where I
seeing
am
that
right now.
these boys are picking up and thinking, if I was in that
Yeah.
position there, Odegaard linking them with me and taking players
Woo!
away, and I can now come inside. Like even the way, because again, I still think, and you watch football like me, Pepe didn't like receiving his ball with the ball with his back to goal with a player behind him. He hated it. He didn't have the strength to do it.
Yeah.
When I see how Saka receives the ball now on that half space where he kind of comes inside, and I sent you the video before. Arteta said he doesn't like players passing straight to the winger. He likes to pass it inside so they could take it on the move.
Yes.
Now, Pepe, if he learns that, you now haven't got to worry about receiving the ball with a man at your back. You're getting it on the move, and you've got an option inside because Odegaard's there. Or if the player doesn't come with you, you're now dribbling at the back line. And Pepe in that
Yeah.
position is a killer. So
Exactly
you've
that.
really changed my
That's
mind on
him.
it. You've changed my mind. You really have. Like I was like, just get him out. I was take it, whatever it is you've got to do to get him out. Just let him go. But now I'm sitting there
We've
thinking, do
got a
you know what?
commodity there. We're paying someone a big bucks. Let's see if we can get
Get
one
something
last.
out of
I would
him.
say one last try.
Because
One last
again,
try.
what can
Let's see
you
if we
do
can.
with 15 mil? Yes, it helps, but can you buy another player with his quality for 15 mil? Like, yeah, you can get Saha on a free, but that's about it. You're not getting Asensio on a free, but I think he's gone PSG. You're not getting anyone for
Yeah.
15 mil with that level of quality in his boots. And what didn't suit him is Arsenal's style of play then.
Do you know
Arsenal's
what
style
that?
of play is different.
Yeah. Exactly that. I mean, um, I wouldn't want us to take any cast-offs from Real Madrid. The only difference being Tchouaméni, because I just think that they're making a big mistake with him.
Yeah.
Um, but anyone else, I mean, I'd like to think that if we was to play Real Madrid, we'd give them a very, very good game or even beat them.
Yeah, it's beautiful to see. Candace, we could carry on. I
I
know
know.
you're in the mood like me. I'm in the groove right now. I've missed you guys. I really have. And
Oh
what
man,
we've had to,
we've missed you, man.
do you know
As I
what's been
said,
brilliant? Do you know? I
when
know
it
the
comes to the
conversation's been
season, you've
excellent.
got to do your
You know,
breakdowns,
I'm on the
everything,
reviews.
man.
You know,
Start
I'm
tuning
here.
up the tactics,
I'm in
everything,
again.
man.
I'm in again. But you know, what I love. We've had steady follow, like steady people listening to this. The numbers haven't changed much. They haven't gone up or down. We're getting no comments, and I think everyone's just really in tune to what you're saying. That no one's even commenting. Everyone's just listening and taking it in. And
Yeah, no,
guys,
I think this is where we are at the moment, and I think it's testament to what the guys are, the backroom staff and Edu and Arteta, what they've been doing, and
mm,
everybody can see, and everyone is excited. It's probably been the most together that Arsenal kind of fan
since
base has been
Invincibles, I
for a
think,
good
and
few years. I
yeah,
mean, for as long as I can remember, anyway. Even
mm,
I remember we're talking about 2-3 years ago when Ramsdale got signed. Could you remember our fan base then? Oh,
yeah,
Ramsdale, why
yeah.
are we getting
Ramsdale.
Ramsdale? We got Leno, blah 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 blah
I remember
blah.
Tommy
Good.
Asu, people like moaning, other journalists saying he's not even a right back, and
Tommy,
there was so
Tommy,
much.
who? Yeah, he's like,
Yeah,
where
we
is he?
should.
And but
Yeah,
listen, man, it's great. It's good times again. But we just got to kick on this season. We
definitely.
do that. Listen, man, I think we can even be more excited the
Yeah,
year after.
definitely. One thing I will say, I'm gonna give it a little negative just because I'm a boring old grumpy guts. But you're not in this position. You don't feel the same pain I'm feeling right now. Can't get tickets, and what I will say to Arsenal is, I remember when you lot built the stadium. Candace, you
Yeah.
might remember it. I remember when you lot built the stadium, right? And I loved Emirates. It's beautiful, one of the most comfortable places I've been in. And there was conversation about the size of Arsenal's chairs, and they said they could have made them a few centimeters smaller and fitted in thousands more seats. But if you've travelled grounds, I've travelled grounds. Our seats are the bigger seats. They're
Oh,
really
they're
wide.
lovely.
They're
They're comfortable.
really comfy.
Yeah.
Change the seats because you got to get more players more fans into the ground because what I'm hearing the ballots they're going to do next year for red members and silver members to get tickets, I've given up hope of getting them. So I think that may be a way. Just take a centimeter off each seat, please, and that would create a couple more hundred seats, so might be able to get a ticket because it's an
Yeah.
absolute nightmare. Um, but
I got, as you know, I got really, really, really
yeah,
lucky,
it's really
and got
nice.
my one when I
At the
did
perfect time as well, to
at
be
the
fair, because I don't
perfect
think there's
time.
any chance you're
We,
getting
we,
that
we
this
was
year.
just kind of like clicking into gear to what we was doing, and I just really caught the bug. So yeah, I'm one of the lucky ones, but yeah, I think the big thing is even I've asked to get extra seats
Mm,
because what it is when you're like a club member platinum, you can put in that you want an extra club seat, and it's then drawn out of another ballot then but then
really?
what you can do is put down 25% in to be kind of like in another ballot if yeah for next season. So
Jesus.
yeah, really and truly, it's probably the hottest ticket in town. I don't know
Mm,
how they're going to combat it. I think the first and foremost thing, what they're trying to do is combat the ticket
that,
touting,
yeah.
and obviously they're trying to maximize as much as possible the revenue, what they get from a match day, because there is a lot of touting that goes on and
Yeah.
people kind of selling tickets here, there, and everywhere.
Mm.
Um, it is a bugbear. How they're going to sort it, I
It,
don't know.
it
But
is something they have to start looking at. I know we are ahead of the curve. Arsenal seem to always be it
mm,
in front of everybody in terms of how we do things, and even a new system they're putting in place, as I said, with the digital tickets,
yeah,
the digital barcode. You can't just screenshot the barcode now and send
because
it
it
to a friend.
changes
You just
every
can.
15 seconds
Yeah,
or
it
something like
refreshes.
that.
There has to be a live barcode when you
Yeah,
scan it through. So that will eliminate a lot of problems. However, it is so difficult to get a ticket. And like you're saying, it's probably the hottest ticket in English football at the moment because size of our stadium, the size of the fan base, season ticket waiting list. I'm like 100 and something thousand. Like there's double the amount of people waiting for a season ticket than there is seats in the Emirates. Um, Something's
it's
got to be done. Maybe they do have to look at build another train station or something because I think that's part of what the problem is. I think they can't expand much more because there's too much demand on
Yeah,
railway
that
service.
tube station's ridiculous.
Yeah,
I just don't think, because it's in such a residential area, they can't expand that.
can't do much. So something needs to be done with it because yeah, it's amazing to see, but what I don't want is because the demand's so high, they start now pricing out fans because people at the end of the season there were tickets for £400 to £1,000 for a basic game like Nottingham Forest or something like that, like a basic game. It was people were charging big money. So um, hopefully they can work something out with that. Again, what they're doing now is a ballot. So if you're a red member or silver member, you put your name in to say I want the Arsenal Chelsea
Yeah,
tickets. You go into a draw like they do with the new releases of Nike Jordans or Nike Airs and stuff. You go into a
it's
draw.
like the
There's
Adidas.
10,000. Yeah, the
Yeah,
Yeezys. It's like 10,000 tickets. Right, we've got 1 million people wanting it. We pull 10,000 names out, and then you have to buy that ticket there. And then if you get drawn out, and I think that's how they're going to do the rest of the tickets for red members and silver members this season. So
wow.
it beats getting up at 7 in the morning and hitting refresh to try and get yourself in line, ready for 9 o'clock. It beats that, but yeah, it's the demand
I
so
think
high, isn't it?
there might be one other way. It's like, but it will cost you probably about £200 though, and that's kind of like you have dinner before it or whatever.
Yeah, I'll actually pay that at this moment in time because
Yeah, if it was a big game, because obviously I think I get first dibs on those kind of things. So if those ones
let me
come
know,
up,
bro. I'll keep some money
if we
spare.
get a few of us together, then it
Yeah,
might be a good thing to do.
it could work. But right, listen, we're gonna wrap up. We're gonna leave
Yeah.
that for another day because again, there's talks of that. There's also talks of the Premier League showing every Sunday game from next season, so that would be interesting. I think football. If the Premier League want to be smart, they have to get with the times, don't they? You see it in basketball and NFL, they have their apps,
The
which you can watch
money's
any
there.
game.
The people,
I would pay £20 a week
of
a month
course.
to watch all the Wenters,
Yep.
watch all the Saturday games, the 3 p.m. kickoff. So get with the times, get an app together and let people pay for it rather than the illegal streaming. Then you combat that. You have to join it rather than go against it as such that you have to get with the curve.
Absolutely.
So yeah, Premier League, do what you need to do. But we can touch on these. There'll be definitely more loose cannons throughout the rest of
100%.
the pre-season. Canners, it's been a pleasure. As I said, we could have gone on for a lot longer. People in the chat, there weren't many of you chatting, but there's a lot of people watching. So thank you for tuning in. Next time, make sure you keep throwing your comments and your thoughts in because we always do read them out on this channel.
Please smash the likes and subscribe if you haven't done so already.
Definitely that. You can see I haven't been streaming for a long time. I've got so much to talk about. I've got to get it all into hours. Impossible. But I will be back. I'm going to come back next week. I'm loving what's going on.
Good to have you back, man.
And guys, thank you so much. And we look forward to seeing you. Hopefully, there'll be some breaking news either tomorrow or Tuesday.
There will be.
There's 4 deals which could break any time now, isn't it? So I'm pretty sure one of them will break in the next 48.
We'll have a show with Bobby. Watch out on Tuesday.
Okay, Bobby is the man. Everything he said at the moment is coming true as well with what he said a few weeks ago. And I've heard that you might be taking your clothes off soon as well. So let's wait and see how that happens. Let's wait and see. And you've got the best camera as well of all of us. So yeah,
it follows me as well. So it's let's see.
Can't escape. But yeah, Cadders, on that note, appreciate you and we'll speak soon.
Brother. Thank you.
Much love.